Hey, this is AJ Morris, and I am glad you are joining us. I apologize for being a few minutes late. That is always a fun thing, having meetings sometimes runs over and isn't always the best, but I'm here now. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get this started. And if you have questions or comments, feel free to join. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Alrighty, so I am super excited that you're joining this afternoon's Facebook Live. Today we are, or I am rather, going to be covering two areas with some of our own products. So BackupBuddy and iThemes Security. Wanting to show you kind of a couple of ways that I use Security Pro and BackupBuddy to run and manage a few of the sites that I maintain on a daily basis. So with that, I'm going to pop over here to my screen, and I am running one of my sites. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be going into security, and a new feature that we have in iThemes Security is a passwordless login. It's something that we released last year, but it has saved me time as I like to have a good, strong security solution in place. But I don't always have my phone, or don't always want to flip over to use some sort of a two-factor auth. And passwordless login gives me that same feeling. So to activate it, you just need to be in WP admin, and you need to go down to security and then go over here to settings. And once you're in settings, if you are running the pro version, you'll see all the pro options here. You want to look for passwordless login. It's right here. And all we have to do is click on enable. And it's just going to tell you there's a new notification is available in the notifications center. It for some reason decided to grab that. But that is it. That's all you have to do to enable this feature. Now, check this out. I'm going to go ahead and log out. So here I am logged out, and you'll see that iThemes Security Pro has now added this email magic link. So all you have to do is click on the button, put in your password, or sorry, put in your username or your email address. It's clearly way too late in the day for me to be doing this, but we're going to stick it here and do it with you anyways. So put in your email address, click send, and all right, I did not actually activate it for my account. So let me go back in. I enabled it and I missed a step. So this is the fun of doing live training. I miscalculated and it did not click the configuration. So I need to enable it for certain users. I'm going to go ahead and enable it for admin users, but you could also do specific users. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now when I log out, put in my email, click send, and you'll get this message, and it just says, hey, go check your email, and it will send you an email. So now that I have done that, let's open up my email. So one of the things that you need to do is make sure that you're logging into the right email account. So we will go ahead and do that. And you'll get a login link. So go ahead and click on that login link, and just ignore that Google Meet. What you will see is your passwordless login link is here. All you have to do is click login now, and it's going to log you back in to your site. So this is a great feature, especially if you want a little bit added security without adding a two-factor authentication piece. So if you don't want to use your phone or your watch or something where you get a 6-7 digit code that you have to enter once you've entered your password in, you can use this login feature. So I use this with pretty much all of my clients, trying to teach them about two-factor authentication. Really doesn't work, but they also always have their email access, so they can go that route. The other thing I wanted to show you is BackupBuddy, and it looks like this site doesn't have BackupBuddy, so I'm going to go over to iThemes.com and grab it. So if you have questions, comments, definitely post a comment on the video, and I'll do my best to answer those for you. So we'll go here to downloads, download BackupBuddy. All right, so you should have BackupBuddy downloaded, and I'm going to add new. So same type of way that you would install a plugin, a paid plugin. Click upload, choose the file. Here's BackupBuddy. Go ahead and click install now. Alrighty, so once this is loaded up, all we have to do is click on activate plugin, and BackupBuddy will be installed. So give it a few moments here. All right, so now that this is installed, let's go ahead and license it. So we'll click on license. I'm going to put in our username and password down here. Now it's gone ahead and licensed Sync and BackupBuddy, since those were in here. And we are now set. So one of the things that I do for all of the clients that I manage and maintain their sites for is they always pay for their own hosting account or hosting provider. I always make sure that they have that, because if I were to get hit by a bus or get COVID-19 or anything, you never want to have them not have access to it. So they always own their hosting account, and they have access to it at will. But what I do for them as part of a kind of a maintenance plan, and this is something that I set up with them post or just right before we go live with their site, is I set up BackupBuddy. And I set up BackupBuddy to do 2 or 3 different kinds of backups, depending on the site that they're running. So if they're running an e-commerce site, I might take more frequent backups of the database. If they're running a site where they're uploading a lot of content frequently, maybe they're posting every day, I'll do that as well. So I'll set up a specific kind of custom tailored backup strategy for each site. So what I thought I would do is walk you through one of those with this site here. Now this site is a membership site that I'm building around MailChimp, and so it's a membership site that gives you access to a course and a community of other MailChimp users to go through this process. So the content that ends up being on this site is for the most part static, and what I mean by that is as I create the course, the videos are hosted off site. The community aspect of it is through a Facebook group, so there's nothing on the site except for the course itself and payment. So I always make sure that I need to, and this is something that I'm just kind of jotting down here to go through, is I want to make sure that my backups, I'm running a backup every night. And that's a full, this is a full backup, meaning all the database, all the content, everything. I'm going to do that, one time a day, and I'll do this at night. So I've got that kind of jotted down. Then I'm going to do a database backup because, again, we're just pretending here. I get several customers or learners throughout the day that are going to be completing this and taking this course. And so part of the course is they're accessing certain lessons and they're completing them, and there's some data that's being saved with that user as they're interacting. So I want to run database backups, and I'm going to run these based on the frequency in which I've watched people kind of sign in and out. I'm going to do these 3 times a day. So we'll set that up here in a second. And then finally, because I have daily ones, I also want to have like a weekly restore point. So I'm going to do a full backup once a week. All right, so that's the strategy I'm going to use for this membership site, and let's get into it. So when you first install BackupBuddy, you need to have or you need to go through this quick start wizard. The biggest thing that I'm going to go through is make sure that I've got my email address in, because I want to get notified of any errors or that the backup has succeeded. So I make sure that this is my email address, not my client's. The next one is you need to create a password to restore or migrate your backups. So this is something that I use, and we'll go ahead and put in a password that I know in here. Typically I use something a little stronger than this, but for demo purposes I made it strong enough that it'll pass muster here. Step 3 is kind of where do you want your backups to be scheduled or manually sent. I love using Stash, so I'm going to choose Stash 3 instead and fill this out. Now this is just your iThemes username and password. You need to kind of log into your member account so that you can see what you have available here. And you do have some options. You can see how much I am using of my Stash account. So If you need more, you can buy more right here. I don't need to do that though, so I'm just going to go ahead and ignore all of these for now, and just click Add Destination. So we've successfully added our stash backup, and then the last step is just kind of, hey, how long do you want to how often do you want to schedule your backup? So no schedule, manual only, starter, or active blogger. I'm going to just do manual only and save these settings because I want to get out of this wizard. So we'll go ahead and click Save Settings, and then I'm going to go in and create the strategy that I want. So with that, go ahead and get that out of the way and just click Not Now. The next thing that we need to do is go in and create a schedule. So if you see your backups, BackupBuddy over here, we're going to click on Schedules. This is going to allow us to create a schedule. So go ahead and click Create a Schedule, and I'm going to call this one Full Daily. So this to me, for a schedule name, is really helping me understand what it is that I'm scheduling, so that if I go and look at it at a later date, I know what that backup is. So it's a full backup and it's my daily backup. The backup profile I want is a complete backup, so full, but you do have options of database, themes, plugins, or media only. We'll be touching on database only here in a moment. And the backup interval, I want it 1 time a day, and I want it to run preferably late at night when not a lot of people are on the site. So I'm going to run this at about 2:15 in the morning, and I really want it to run the first time on Saturday because that means it'll run tonight. So we'll go ahead and click Done there. That means it's going to run tonight or in the morning, early morning at 2:15 a.m. And I need to add a remote destination backup. So we'll go ahead and select our stash 3. So this is going to also push this backup once it's complete up to that remote destination. And once it does that, I want it to delete the backup locally, meaning don't save the zip file, don't save all the contents locally on my server. It needs to be up on that remote destination, and this is good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Schedule, and you can see that I've got that schedule here now. So I do want to create another schedule or another backup because, as I mentioned, I have 3 backups that I'm going to be covering. So this next one is a database only backup. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Schedule, and I'm going to say DB only daily because actually I'm going to put 3x daily. So 3 times daily is kind of where I'm going there. I'm going to select the backup profile database only. Going to go down here to backup interval and do this. Well, I guess we'll do it every 6 hours. That will give us that'll give us 4 backups. So I'm okay with moving it to 4. So we'll do 4 times daily. We're going to tell it to run starting at, actually we'll start it today at 5 p.m. So it'll first run there. Again, I want to add my remote destination. So we'll go to Stash. I'm going to delete the local backup after it is up to the remote destination and there is success, we'll go ahead and enable that. So I've got 2 backups down. The last one is my weekly full backup. So we're going to add to schedule. We're going to do weekly, we're going to do full weekly to go with the same nomenclature that I was using earlier. Complete backup. We're going to do this once weekly, and I want to run this on Sundays at 12:30 a.m. So that way it runs once a week. It basically is going to run every Sunday at 12:30 a.m. We'll add our remote destination. We'll delete our local backup, and we'll leave the enable schedule to run. So we'll go ahead and click Add Schedule here. And there we go. Now you can see that our backup schedule is all set. We've got our full daily, our database only 4 times daily, and our full weekly. So here's where that's all at. You can see that it's going to your my stash, BackupBuddy stash v3 destination, and it's going to delete the local backup after it has been sent up to that remote destination. So that is the biggest one that I have been seeing, and this is kind of what I set up for most of my sites at this time. One thing that I might change here, and this is depending on your own preference, and if I'm going to wear a tinfoil hat for a moment, I might put in or add another destination. So I might keep this same strategy, but I might also add, say, Dropbox as a destination or Amazon S3 as a destination here as well. And that's just so that I have kind of a good option to be able to make sure that I do in fact have those backups. So hey Ben, nice to see you here. The BB question I'll answer in a second. That one I have to actually read through, but the second question you asked was, why have a weekly when you have a daily? So that's actually a good question. And honestly, I don't know that I have the best answer for it, but let me try. So I have been working with a number of clients, especially right now, that want to start talking about redesigns. And so when I've done that, I just threw in an extra schedule of a full backup once a week, and left it in the same destination that was already set up. I think, yeah, maybe moving it to another destination might make sense, because on the day that the weekly backup runs versus the daily, obviously you're going to have 2 backups that day, in this case a few hours apart. So yeah, I don't know that I have the best answer of why I did that. It might be a little bit overkill, but in some cases moving or having double destinations for all of your backups might be overkill, and so this is the like starting point of a backup strategy for most of my clients, and that's kind of where I've moved to. So Yeah, I hope, I don't know if that answers the question as much as it provides more confusion. Let me read this first question a second. All right, so it's talking. Your first question was talking about issues with BackupBuddy failing. You're maintaining 20 sites and always have issues with either backups not finishing or not successfully sent to the remote destination. Good questions. So one, I would always make sure that you open that up with support and talk to them. They're going to be able to know if it's a specific issue. But I can kind of speak to some general observations I've seen. So I've got a number of sites that are pretty content heavy. And so they've got a lot of images, they have a lot of content in the database, and I have seen issues where if I was running a full site backup, that would fail. My solution to it was probably not the best, but it was it wasn't directly tied to backups. I was initially solving a separate issue, which was the site started to perform slow and kind of go above the loading time would go above the 2-second threshold that I kind of hold sites that I've fully designed and continue to maintain. That's my standard, right? Is your site should load in under 2 seconds, or we need to start talking about some performance optimization improvements. And so that's initially how I started. And one of the things that we were doing was we moved all of their image content over to Amazon S3. We actually used, if you go over to deliciousbrains.com, they have a product called WP Offload Media. So I used this to move their images and essentially their WP content / uploads folder over to Amazon S3. And so once I did that, moving it over to S3, I didn't really need to back it up in my database or in my like BackupBuddy backup. So what I ended up and what I opted to do was to continue to do database backups, and then they were also on a managed WordPress install at a managed WordPress hosting provider. So I opted just to move to database backups instead of that full site backup. So I went from like a 10, 20, 30 gig zip file in a backup way down to like 20, 30 meg zip file, and it just being the database. And that's kind of how I've started to adopt some of my backup strategies. So if you are in that instance where your site is on managed WordPress, I don't back up WordPress anymore. I might back up the theme depending on what theme I use, but I'm using themes like GeneratePress or Astra, where those are all saved to the database, so your database ends up being bigger. And so I could, if I was just saving the database all the time and moving that to a remote destination, I found that to be an easier process. In the event that I do have to restore this site because it was hacked or something happened, I would have to just manually install all the plugins, install all the themes, and then bring in that database backup and get it back up and running that way. So it really depends. I know that that's probably not the best answer that I can give you about BackupBuddy failing. The only thing I can do is say really to hit up support. They can look at your specific issue, and they might have some tweaks to settings that you've had to adjust to get them to work just right, and that might fix it for you. But BackupBuddy failing typically tends to be a server hosting provider issue, right? There's something that we have to tweak there. So yeah, so your backups, you're saying 800 meg to 3 gig fails, but around 200 megs, yeah, they're okay. Yeah, everyone's different, and unfortunately, it's just such a hard thing to diagnose, especially in like a live. I can just kind of give you my experience. So yeah, and like you said, I opted to solve it a different way, and it was mainly just because of other things that had happened with that site. So those are the two things that I wanted to cover today, and obviously I'm here for other questions that you have about iThemes products. So if you have a question, would love to take a chance to answer that. One thing that I purposely skipped over in BackupBuddy when I set up my remote destination was something I was going to cover kind of while we were looking at seeing what people might have questions on. And I'm going to go into destinations here. Again, if you have a question, just feel free to drop it in the comments. So if you are in destinations and you see the little gear next to it, you can start to set your settings. And this is just good practice. And this is really what I offer my clients, is I kind of go in and set up some of these. These are all of our profiles of what type of backup you might take. And by default, we're going to keep every backup you've ever made. But the reality is that you don't need a backup from 6 years ago. You don't even need a backup from a year ago. You might only need a backup from 30, 40, 50 days ago. And so what you can do to save on space in whatever destination you're using, doesn't have to be Stash. I'm just using Stash because that's what I had. But you can come in here and say, you know what, I only want to save backups that are 30 days old. And so what happens is when you come in here and you put these in, and some of these might even be different, like a full backup and a database backup, I almost always do 30 days at minimum. Sometimes I've gone out as far as 60 days, just because, again, it depends on the site and there's specific use cases for that. But I don't really use some of these other ones, these other options for backups. So I'm not going to change those, but you could. So now what this does is it's going to take backups for this number of days. And what it's going to happen is it's going to say, oh, this is backup number 31 that I'm sending over to this destination. I need to delete that oldest backup. And so what this does is it gives you rolling backups for 30 days. So you have in this destination 30 days worth of backups at any given time, but it's only the last 30 days. Now, this is where it might get tricky, because this isn't days of backups, It's the number of total backups. So if you are doing a daily full backup and a weekly full backup, that means you're going to get roughly, you're going to have four weeks of daily backups, and then an additional 4 backups. So you could hit 30 backups. You're gonna be over your 30 backups. So that's not really giving you a full month of backups. So you may need to tweak this to say, you know what, I want 40 backups or I want 50 backups to be able to really get that full month of backups. Now the same thing goes with database only backups. So if you remember, the schedule I set up is 4 database backups per day. So if I'm doing database backups 4 times a day, and I want to save 30 days of those backups, I can't just say 30 backups, because that's only going to save likely a couple of weeks worth of backups. It's not going to save you the whole month. So you have to take your 4 backups, times that by 4, right? And then you end up with roughly 120 backups for your database only. So that's kind of some settings you can do here to set your backups on that destination. Now, you do have some advanced settings, and this, Ben, might be something you need to look at when you're having larger databases fail. You might need to change this send per burst option. Again, this is all dependent on where you're pushing your backup to. You might even need to add a max time per chunk. And so those are a couple of options that you can do to try to help some of your backups as they're being sent succeed. Now, if your backups are failing to just create locally, now you're running into other issues that might be host specific. You could be out of storage, local storage. They might have some other issues there. So this is really the only place I could look at and kind of direct you to. Everything else is going to be on the server side. Space storage type stuff. Are they limiting PHP functions, things like that. So this is where I would look if it's sending. So we'll go ahead and click Save Changes, and we've just made those changes to our stash destination. And so what you'll see is when you have backups running and they're up in stash, you'll see them all right here. Now, you can also see them if you go to backups and you go to restore backups. You don't have any backups created, so it's not actually going to let us do that. So we'll just go over here to local backups, and we'll also see that we have none here as well. So, all right. So what other questions do we have? Looks like there's a few more. Looks like, Ben, you're asking about Stash. So, yeah, Stash being more expensive than compared to Dropbox. Yeah, I don't really have an answer for that. Other than to say, we make sure that Stash works all the time. It's secure. It's our own proprietary storage solution. And so, in my opinion, it's always going to run the best. That said, obviously, Amazon S3, Dropbox, you pay different prices depending on what you have. In many cases, I will move backups not only to Amazon S3 but also to Stash. And Amazon 3, I usually move those to like their Glacier storage option so that it's even cheaper than S3. But yeah, Stash is always going to work. We know it's going to work because we can control the end-to-end experience. But when you start talking about Dropbox and Google Drive, OneDrive, Amazon S3, if they make a change to their API or their endpoints get hacked or something like that, it's not something that we have control over, and so you kind of pay for a premium to have service that's going to be end to end a better experience, and in that case, Stash is that better end to end experience because you're moving directly from an iThemes product to an iThemes product. So, but good question as well. And Ben, right now it's if you were to purchase Stash, it is a 30% off option. So that there is that available as well. Alrighty, so that's BackupBuddy. That I've covered security at the beginning. What other questions do we have? We've got 17 minutes left today. Hit that mic, sorry. Happy to answer questions that you might have with BackupBuddy or iThemes security or even iThemes, and just talking about what there is. So looks like Ben, you might have another question. Okay, do you use iThemes Sync for your customers? I do. So we can log in. Every single customer is going to get a report. I'm monitoring uptime. I hook up this. Let's see, which one do I want to pull up? We'll pull up this site, for example. I've got BackupBuddy security installed. Actually, I don't have BackupBuddy installed on this one. It's not. It has some issues that I have not fixed with it. Not a BackupBuddy issue, more of an issue with a separate plugin. So those are there, but you can hook up analytics and Search Console, and if you're using Gravity Forms, you can set up forms in here, and then what you can do is you can set up reports to be sent out to the website owner. So let me go home to another one, for example, and I have not ran. I run all of the updates for my sites through Sync, and I run them once a week. So part of my maintenance and care package that I offer clients that choose to go that direction, they get once a week. I will go through, I'll run updates and all of that. So here with this site, you can see we've got an update available. So it's going to show yellow in a lot of places. It's got BackupBuddy, which means they have done some things to this site since the last backup happened. So I can see that, and I have the option to run my backups right here. I do not. I actually had to deactivate iThemes Security Pro because we are running a plugin called App Presser to give you a mobile app, and I was running into some issues that I didn't have time to diagnose with a latest update to App Presser that started to conflict with Security Pro. So that was something within the last couple of weeks, and haven't been able to bounce back to that yet. So Security Pro is turned off on it, and I've got other ways to protect and secure the site, but usually that's on. Now I think I have analytics. Yeah, I have analytics hooked in. I have Search Console hooked in, And so you can see, actually, it looks like they might have changed their Search Console since last week. So I might have to re-authenticate and add the site back in. But you can see that I've got reports, and so you can send out reports, and so those reports are out to them regularly. So question, Ben, is do you ever have issues with pro versions of plugins not hosted on WordPress.org? Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes I do. Sometimes they don't always update very well, and so sometimes I have to log into the site and manually update them. Other sites like this one is running WooCommerce, and the reason there's 25 updates to it is because there's several plugins, WooCommerce included, that we can't update because it requires a ton of theme work that we would have to do in order to get it running well together, and so we don't. We have to watch and do those kind of manually. So, what other questions? What other questions do we have about iThemes products, or even what we covered this morning? If you watch what we covered this morning, I went over WP Complete. It's kind of my new favorite plugin that I'm looking at for creating simple course sites. So I'm really digging that and having a lot of fun there. I'm going to go ahead and bring myself back up. There we go. So with that, not seeing anything else, I'm going to end our Facebook Live a little bit early today. Glad you could join us. If you're watching on the replay, definitely let me know what we can do to help. Throw a comment down on